Hey Ben,
What's up, Jaunty? Good to see you. Good to talk to you.
you as well. I gotta warn you, it might be a little strange if you hear there's literally a Civil War reenactment going on at the park just up the road.
Literally a Civil War reenactment.
So if
Okay,
you
that's kind of
if you
cool.
hear
Cannons.
a loud cannon booming in the
Yeah,
distance,
okay.
that's what that is.
All right, no worries. I'm a Civil War buff.
Oh, cool. Yeah, me as well. Yeah. Um. So you said you wanted to talk about dry skin?
Yeah, I thought that would be an interesting subject. So many people have dry skin. Did you
Yeah.
ever wonder why? It seems so ironic to me how almost everybody you know uses moisturizers.
Mm.
So there are some people who have like a dozen different moisturizers in their car and in their locker and in their desk and in their purse. And
Yeah.
we spend tens of millions, if not $100 million in moisturizers in this country every year, and everybody has dry skin.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like the ultimate irony to me. It's like clearly
Right.
we're doing something wrong,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that's because we don't understand dry skin for what it really is, which is a cellular problem. And in
Mm.
this way, dry skin is like arthritis, or it's like heart disease, or it's like autoimmune diseases, or any other health challenge you can name. It's not as severe as these, or as significant perhaps as these other health challenges, but nonetheless, it is a cellular issue. It's a biochemistry issue. It's pathology. It's a sign that something's wrong. And the fact that everybody has dry skin doesn't make it less so.
Mm.
It doesn't mitigate the fact that you've got a biochemical breakdown somewhere in the body if you have dry skin. And that also means that nobody just has dry skin, because the
Mm-hmm.
body is a system. And when you have a breakdown or you have a pathology of some kind, it isn't localized. It doesn't just happen in one part of the body, even though you
Right.
notice it in one part of the
Yeah,
body. So if you have
I was
dry
gonna
skin,
ask
rest assured.
then if that's sort of like a canary in the coal mine sort of a symptom.
Exactly.
Mm.
It's diagnostic. You can use the skin as a diagnostic tool. And that's not just for dry skin. That's true about all skin health challenges. They're diagnostic of some kind of biochemical dysfunction that's occurring underneath, with rare exceptions. There are some contact allergies that you can have to allergens, latex, for example, or nickel. But even those, you're more predisposed, you're more likely to have those conditions if you have
Mm.
some underlying condition. So the skin, we give lip service to the fact that the skin is the body's largest what?
Organ.
Exactly. Everybody knows that. You don't have to be in the skincare business to know, or the skin health business to know, that the skin is the body's largest organ, but we don't treat it like an organ.
Mm-hmm.
We don't treat it like a truly full-fledged tissue or structure, or organ, I should say, of the body. We somehow think of it as separate because it's on the outside. Now,
Mm.
it's true that the fact that it's on the outside means that there's a couple things different about the skin than there is about the heart or about the liver, about the spleen, in the sense that, for one thing, you can put things on top of your skin. For another, you can actually see what's happening on your skin, and your
Mm-hmm.
neighbors and your colleagues can see what's happening in your skin in the way that they can't see with an internal organ. Nonetheless, the skin is a fully fledged organ of the body, and if you have a skin health challenge, whether it's rosacea, or whether it's acne, whether it's psoriasis, or whether it's eczema, or whether it's dry skin, as insignificant as that may sound, you have an organ problem. And because all the organs are interconnected in the body, you have a full-fledged body problem. Does that make sense, Jonty?
Yeah,
It's a
absolutely.
body issue.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what's even worse about our misunderstanding about dry skin, and our misunderstanding or relegating of the skin to secondary status, non-organ status, is the fact that when we put topical products on their skin, with some exceptions, for the most part, you are going to be doing something bad for your skin. You're going to be suppressing something in your skin. You're going to be biochemically interacting with your skin in a way that isn't necessarily skin friendly.
Mm.
Classic example is moisturizers. Do you know a moisturizer will actually suppress your skin's natural ability to moisturize itself?
Ha. Hmm.
It has an anti-moisturization effect. Now,
Mm.
you will soften the surface of the skin with a moisturizer, but in the long run, you're going to suppress the skin's ability to do its own moisturizing business.
Hmm.
Human skin should never be dry. There are biochemical pathways, there are systems in place in the skin to assure that the skin will always stay hydrated. And if you have dry skin, there's something going wrong with that chemistry. There's something missing. Typically it's something nutritional that's missing. It could also be something interfering with how the skin does its business. So in order to really understand how this all works, we got to use our X-ray vision and zoom into the skin. When we see the skin, it looks like just a covering, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you zoom in with your X-ray vision, what you're going to see is that the skin is made up like all the other organs of the body, or like everything else in the body is made up of, and that is of cells.
Mm.
So if you have a skin problem, you don't have a skin problem, you have a skin cell problem. Much in the same way that if you have a joint problem, you don't really have a joint problem, you have a joint cell problem. If you have heart disease, you don't really have heart disease, you have heart cell disease. Nobody has breast cancer, they have breast cell cancer. And it's not just semantics, because the fact that we don't see the tissue or the body as structured of cells leads us to believe that we can just treat the organ without going to the building block, without going to the fundamental component of that organ, and that is the cell. It's true about all the systems, all the organs of the body, and it's especially true about the skin. So if you have dry skin, you have a skin cell issue. Skin is kept soft and hydrated by the skin cells. Skin cells actually transport water from the lower levels of the skin upwards. The skin cells make special fats as they're moving upwards to keep the skin soft and moist, to trap moisture. The skin cells finish their lives off as a barrier, which provides water trapping ability, keeps water in. It's a surface barrier. It's called the stratum corneum. It's designed to trap water. And skin cells also make special components, amino acids and similar structures, similar molecules, called the natural moisture factor. And this natural moisture factor acts like a water trap or a water magnet to keep water held in place in the skin. So you have these multiple mechanisms. Skin cells are transporting water upwards from the lower levels. They're producing fats in the natural moisture factor. And if they're growing appropriately, that's important, they're going to form a barrier that'll keep water trapped in. So if you have dry skin, something is wrong with the skin cell so that it is not making the natural moisture factor. It's not making these fatty materials. They're called epidermal lipids that trap water. It's not pulling water appropriately from the lower levels of the skin. By the way, the water pulling ability of these skin cells is achieved through little channels in the skin cell called aquaporins that we didn't even know existed 20, 25 years ago. Our understanding of the skin really didn't get going until about 25 years ago or so. So all of these are new concepts that weren't even known about, let alone addressed when skincare products were first developed in a big way at the turn or late 19th century, at the beginning of the 20th century. That's when the skincare business started getting going. And the fourth way that skin cells keep the skin soft and moist and hydrated is by forming this barrier. If skin cells aren't healthy, none of this is going to happen, and that's where you have dry skin. Dry skin is an issue of skin cells not being able to pull water effectively, not being able to produce their fats and their amino acids and the natural moisture factor effectively, and not being able to form that barrier effectively. If you have dry skin and you really want to treat it, you need to treat the skin cell. It should come as no surprise if we always say all disease is cell disease, and it's true, dry skin isn't really a disease, but it's still a pathology, so all pathology is cell pathology. It should be perfectly common sense once you understand that concept that dry skin is a cell issue and needs to be treated cellularly if we're going to really affect true change. A moisturizer, topical products, will suppress the activity of skin cells, and in the long run will make your skin drier, and this is why people get addicted to their moisturizing lotion. The classic case is with the lips. The lips are a very specialized form of skin, and they're loaded with moisture factors because they're sticking out. And the fact that they're sticking out means that they're more exposed to the environment and more prone towards evaporation, more prone towards water loss. So nature has equipped the lips with lots of moisture factors. When you use your Blistex, you use your Carmex, you use your chapstick, you shut down those moisture factors, and everybody knows that the more Blistex or chapstick that you use, the more you need.
Right. I was actually going to mention that experience, that it seems like you get chapped lips. The worst thing you can do is put some chapstick on your lips, because then you're just going down. It's just a downward spiral.
That's just an extreme example of what happens when you use a moisturizer. Same phenomenon. So what do you do? How do you deal with dry skin? Well, first of all, we're always talking about nutrition here, and as much as I'm in the skincare business, and I've been creating topical products for many years, as you know, and as much as I love formulating topical products, and I talk about topical products all the time, because it's a cell issue, you got to work with nutrition first and foremost. So there's a lot of nutrients that you could use, especially fats. fatty vitamins, and essential fatty acids. Essential fatty acids are really, dry skin is almost diagnostic of an EFA deficiency. And there's other things that are involved, but if you had to pick one thing that you wanted to use for your dry skin, it would be essential fatty acids, especially omega-6 essential fatty acids. And this is kind of interesting because we always hear about omega-6s versus omega-3s, and people ask whether you should take omega-6s or omega-3s, or some people say don't use omega-6s because you get plenty of omega-6s. Some people say that you got to be careful with your omega-3s because you don't need as much. There's a bunch of controversy around your essential fatty acids. As far as the skin goes, the skin's moisture depends on omega-6 fatty acids. Now, omega-6 fatty acids should be found in lots of foods, but because we cook our foods, we destroy the essential fatty acids. That's why you need to supplement. And a good nutritional supplement, a good essential fatty acid supplement will have maybe a 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s. Fatty vitamins are also important, especially vitamin A. There's a medication that some people will take that actually suppresses or shuts down vitamin A activity. It's called Accutane. Probably heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Now they just have the generic available, I think. I don't think you can get Accutane anymore. But in any case, the isotretinoin, which is the name of the drug that is Accutane, shuts down vitamin A activity. And one of the most important side effects of this drug is incredibly dry skin and dry eyes and dry throat. It just shuts down secretions. So by suppressing vitamin A, when you suppress vitamin A activity, you get really dry skin. Conversely, by using vitamin A, you can help support skin moisturization. And vitamin A is probably the most of the vitamins for skin softness and skin hydration and skin moisturization. Vitamin C is also very important. Vitamin C helps the body produce or helps the skin produce moisture factors. The other fatty vitamins, vitamin E can be helpful for skin moisturization. Vitamin D can be helpful for skin moisturization. Use fish oil to get your vitamin D, or supplement, or the sun to get your vitamin D. The best place to get your vitamin D, by the way, is the sun, because the body will control the amount of vitamin D that is put into the blood. When you take a supplement, you get a big hit of vitamin D. So supplemental vitamin D should be a last resort for people who can't get out in the sun or who need super high doses of vitamin D.
Ben, the sun, obviously if you get a sunburn, then it's going to have adverse effects for your skin, but what's the relationship between being out in the sun, getting a decent amount of sun, and having dry skin? Is it a net plus?
That's a really interesting question, because the sun upregulates things. So the burning that we feel you definitely don't want, or the burning that we get is definitely something you don't want to go into. However, just enough sun can have an upregulating effect. Now, one of the things that happens, I was going to talk about this, but since you brought it up, one of the ways that the skin stays moist via skin cell chemistry requires the movement of skin cells from the bottom to the top. Skin cells are born at the bottom of the skin and they rise up to the top. And as they're rising up to the top, they're changing shape and they're dumping their contents overboard, and those contents go to become the moisture factors and the skin fats. All of this depends on the appropriate movement of the skin cell upwards. So it's not just the health of the skin cell, it's the movement of the skin cell as well. This movement is called transit time or turnover time. And as the cells are moving upwards, the skin is becoming softer and moister because you get more moisture factors and you get more these epidermal lipids, these fats, and you get a better barrier. And you also are improving the pulling of water upwards. The sun will facilitate that movement. The sun will upregulate that movement. So in the long run, a little bit of sun every day is going to make your skin softer and moister and more hydrated. But there's a sweet spot, as you say. You don't want to overdo it. If you overdo it, you go into burning. That's definitely counterproductive. And that's where the sun gets a bad reputation, is people don't understand the nature of the sweet spot. So you don't want too little, you don't want to underdose, and you don't want to overdose. This is true about anything that's stimulating. Exercise is the same way. You don't want to under-exercise, you don't want to over-exercise. There's a sweet spot of exercise, and this is an apt metaphor for how the sun works. The sun stimulates or upregulates in the same way that exercise stimulates or upregulates. In this case, the sun stimulates or upregulates cell division, cell growth, and also moisture factors. So a little bit of sun is very important. Speaking of this movement upwards, the transit time or turnover time that we talked about, there's ways that you can stimulate transit time or turnover time topically so that you can mimic some of the effects or duplicate some of the effects of the sun. That's called exfoliation. You probably heard of that term.
Right, right.
And using exfoliation or exfoliating agents can help speed things up. One of the best is alpha hydroxy acids, glycolic acid, lactic acid, malic acid. You'll find these in drugstores. You have your pharmacist make alpha hydroxy acids, or salons or doctors' offices will sell alpha hydroxy acid containing products. You can get them in toners. I recommend toners. You can also get them in cleansers and creams. Problem with cleansers and creams is they tend to have a lot of ingredients that aren't friendly for the skin. So I like toners typically. Apple cider vinegar is a great natural way to get alpha hydroxy acid turnover. Red wine is another great way to do it. Both of them contain alpha hydroxy acids. You can make your own alpha hydroxy acid toner with lemon juice or orange juice, which are also good sources of alpha hydroxy acids. Cleopatra is famous for taking baths in milk, and milk has been used historically as a skin softener because it contains lactic acid, which is an alpha hydroxy acid. So those are great ways to soften the skin and also to moisturize. You can use something called retinoids, which is a fancy name for vitamin A derivatives. The most famous one is prescription retinoic acid. You can also get something over the counter called retinol. Both of these will increase the movement or improve the movement, the transit time, and the turnover time of cells as they rise to the top. Now, again, there's going to be a sweet spot. You're stimulating here. So you don't want to overuse your retin A or retinol, your retinoids, and you don't want to overuse your alpha hydroxy acids. You don't want to underuse them either. You're going to have to find where that sweet spot is. Irritation, redness, inflammation, itching, these can all be signs of overuse. High hyaluronic acid is a wonderful skin softener for the surface of the skin. It's not going to have long-term benefits, but it will trap water on the skin surface. Let's see what else. Oh, internally, high hyaluronic acid can also be helpful. There's a lot of good literature that talks about taking high hyaluronic acid as a nutritional supplement for not only helping with the moisturization of the skin, but also for building connective tissue. And this is another really interesting benefit of the alpha hydroxy acids and the retinoids, as well as high hyaluronic acid. Not only are they really effective for moisturizing the skin, they're also really effective for anti-aging the skin, for stimulating the production of collagen and other forms of connective tissue, the polysaccharides that make up connective tissue and other fibers. Which is a very interesting point, because a lot of skin dryness has to do with connective tissue thinness. Water is trapped in the connective tissue, and as the connective tissue thins and breaks down as we get older, and the skin gets thinner and more crepey, we're more likely to have dry skin. So building connective tissue is another great strategy, internal strategy as well as topical strategy for helping hydrate the skin. Alpha hydroxy acids, retinoids, these ingredients that speed up cell turnover will also increase collagen production, connective tissue matrix production, and also high hyaluronic acid supplements, glucosamine supplements, bone broth protein. All of these will build connective tissue, and by building connective tissue, they can improve skin hydration because the connective tissue magnetically attracts water. Let's see, I was going to tell you something else. Oh, in the wintertime, the winter air tends to hold less moisture. And one of the neat things about the skin is it adjusts to how much moisture is in the air. So when there's low ambient humidity, for example, if you come to Colorado from Santa Cruz, your skin is supposed to adjust and you just make more moisture factors. If you are using a moisturizing product, a topical product that gives you short-term relief, your body won't be able to adjust. Your skin won't be able to adjust. It won't be able to read the ambient humidity. And it won't. This is one of the reasons why people get addicted to their moisturizing products, is because the skin is not able to adjust differences in relative humidity when somebody moves from a certain area from where there's a lot of moisture in the air to an area where there isn't, or during the winter time when there's a drop in the ambient humidity, or for whatever reason if happens to be less ambient humidity in the air. If you're using a moisturizer, your skin's not going to be able to adjust. So that's another reason why you don't want to use the moisturizer. For one, we get addicted to our moisturizers, and for two, you're not going to be able to make as much natural moisture factor, and your skin will be, as I say, your skin will be drier after you use your moisturizer than it is before. And most people will experience this, by the way,
right,
when they're using a moisturizer for a long period of time.
Interesting. I know I have a buddy who I kind of make fun of a little bit because he's always carrying around a thing of moisturizer with him. But it'll be great to bring the news to him. You know, I'm sure.
Right. The more lotion you use, the more you need.
Exactly. Right.
It's funny we don't notice that though. It's like, why don't we notice that our moisturizing strategy doesn't work? I think we just accept it. I think we don't consider it to be significant. We don't associate it with the inside of the body, and we don't link it to other health challenges that we may have. And we just set the bar so low on we set the bar so low on our health in general, but we set the bar so low on our skin health that we just live with it. The fact of the matter is, human skin should never be dry.
It's an interesting cycle. You know, you apply this medication essentially, and the condition actually gets worse, but you just sort of think, "Gosh, I need more moisturizer.
I need fancier."
Yeah.
The strategies that most moisturizing products employ really hasn't changed since the days of Cleopatra and ancient Egypt. You just rub an oil on your skin, and by the way, oil on your skin isn't going to moisturize your skin. Oil on your skin will soften your skin. You don't really get moisturized from an oil. You get softer skin, but you don't get moisturized skin. So if you really want to truly moisturize your skin, you got to figure out a way to get water to the skin, because moisturization is water. And because we didn't really understand all of these water trapping mechanisms when moisturizers first got going at the turn in the 1890s, 1880s, 1900s. That's when they really started going in moisturizers started to get going in an industrial way. They were using, you know, olive oil and crocodile oil in ancient Egypt for thousands of years. But really, the moisturizer business didn't get going in a big way until the turn of the 20th century, and we didn't really have any idea what the skin was at the turn of the 20th century. So we can be forgiven, or the people who originally came up with the concept of moisturization can be forgiven for putting the stuff out, but today we know a lot better. And if we're still using these same strategies that Helena Rubinstein developed in the 1890s and the early 1900s, there's clearly something wrong with how we're taking care of our skin, as well as how we're taking care of our bodies, by the way.
Right. Ben, what role does bathing play in dry skin?
Water is very interesting stuff. You know, water is actually dangerous stuff to the skin. If you were to take your hand and stick it in water for like a day, you would end up with some severely damaged skin, or a couple of days. Your skin would be really, really damaged, and it's just water, just plain old tap water. So you got to be really careful with water. But again, there's a sweet spot, because water can be stimulating. So, you know, it's kind of like this whole idea of exercise, how you tear up your muscles and your muscles grow back bigger and stronger and better. Well, when you bathe appropriately, especially mineral baths, especially in magnesium baths, there's a lot of good literature about magnesium baths and Dead Sea salt baths. You can actually turn on the skin's moisture factors, and in the long run, you can end up with a softer, moisture skin, even if in the short run you get into some skin dryness, assuming that you're healthy, assuming that you have enough essential fatty acids and vitamin E and vitamin A and minerals. Zinc, by the way, is a very helpful mineral for taken orally for all skin issues, including skin moisturization, and also proteins. I didn't mention things like arginine, which is a very important building protein. A lot of the proteins in whey protein can have, a lot of the amino acids in whey protein can have moisturization benefits. And there's actually some products out that claim to be internal moisturizers that are really just whey protein. The amino acid arginine, the amino acid glutamic acid or glutamate is turned into skin moisture factors. So making sure you're getting enough protein. Of course, in order to get the protein, in order to get the amino acids from the protein, from the foods we're eating, we got to have enough enzymes, we got to have enough stomach acid, our digestive system has to be working. So you can kind of see how everything here is related. If you have fat malabsorption, if you have a gallbladder problem, if you had your gallbladder taken out, if you have a thyroid problem, all of these are internal causes for the external manifestation of dry skin. Thyroid in particular is really important. Hypothyroidism and dry skin go hand in hand.
I was actually going to ask you, do you ever see somebody and just by the appearance of their skin you start to make a diagnosis?
Absolutely. Well, I can't diagnose everything that's wrong in the body, but I can certainly tell some things, certain things. A good skincare professional will look at the nails. The nails are the fastest growing tissue in the body. They're part of the skin, of course. They're an appendage of the skin, of the organ called the skin. And you can tell a lot by somebody's nails. You can certainly tell a lot by somebody's skin. Thinness of the skin, color of the skin, dryness of the skin, flakiness of the skin. By the way, flakiness is another sign of dry skin. Flakiness is caused by a lack of moisture in the skin, not allowing enzymes to do their work. Ordinarily, skin cells flop off in response to enzymes, but if they're don't flop off appropriately because it's too dry, and the chemistry, the flopping off chemistry isn't working because of the lack of skin moisture. You'll get an ashy appearance to the skin, a little powdery appearance to the skin, and that's another sign of dry skin.
I was just thinking, all of this, everything we're discussing here pretty much applies to the scalp as well. A lot of people have dry skin or dandruff or whatnot.
Scalp is the skin. The scalp is part of the skin. Yeah, dandruff is another classic example of a biochemical issue, and you can use all the dandruff shampoo you want, but if you have an underlying zinc deficiency, an underlying essential fatty acid deficiency, vitamin A deficiency, sulfur deficiency, all of these can cause dandruff, and also a condition called seborrhea, which is a response to dry skin. Seborrhea is an excess amount of sebum that is produced. That's a whole other skin issue. Maybe we can talk about that. Maybe we can talk about that on another episode.
Okay, yeah, fantastic. Well, Ben, I don't think there's I certainly had no expert in skincare that comes anywhere close to you. You've devoted a significant part of your life to it, so it's fantastic, good advice that you're giving out here. I really appreciate the opportunity to help bring this out to the world,
Thank you, Johnson.